Hello everybody and welcome back. Standing outside here today because we were about ready to load up, head about an hour south of me and try to pick up yet another barn find. This one's a bit more of a unicorn. I've been after one of these for a number of years. Tried multiple times to get one and the deal always fell through. Feeling pretty good about this one, so let's go ahead, load up and head on out. No cool F-150s this week. Just had to pick up a tiny little baby U-Haul truck there. Primarily just so I could pull this guy here around. The little U-Haul trailers absolutely love these bloody things. So let's go ahead, load up and hit the road. So it's the next day here. We got the DeLorean home, got it unloaded. It was getting pretty late at night, and I just still can't quite believe it. Huge thanks to Uncle G-Body for getting all that killer drone footage and all of the other shots there of when we were picking it up and loading it. I was just all business mode. I've told them before we even left that until I got this thing home and got it in my garage and closed the door, I just wasn't going to be settled on it. I just wasn't going to believe it was true. And even the next day, just sitting here staring at this thing, it's here, it's in front of me, and I still just cannot believe it. There is a DeLorean in my garage, finally. After all these years of trying to buy one, I've had such terrible, terrible luck. I've had people rescind deals on me even after I made deposits. They went and sold it to somebody else for way more money after the fact and everything else, and just terrible, terrible luck over the years trying to get a hold of one of these, and then to find one relatively local to me, only about 45 minutes away, and a barn find as well. This thing has been off the road for a number of years. It is just incredible. Just cannot believe it. Probably the most excited I've been about a car pickup in a very, very long time. So let's go ahead and dive into this thing. I'll give you some of the background on this thing, and we'll go from there. Now, before I get after this thing mechanically and we start spinning wrenches, let me just walk you around the exterior here, show you the condition of the car, and I'll fill you in on the history of it as well. As you can see, it is extremely dirty. This thing needs a bath desperately. The car has spent most of its life in storage, and probably for at least the last 20 years has been completely neglected. However, this is a single owner vehicle, and it is showing just over 7,000 miles on the odometer in there, and I do believe that is correct. I do believe that this is a very low mileage car. There's a number of reasons why I think that. We'll get into some of those. But it's very common for there to be discrepancy issues on DeLoreans. And that is because the odometer and speedometer drive system on this thing, not very reliable. It actually runs off the front driver's side wheel here. There's a little plastic drive piece that sits behind the tire on the outside of the hub. There's a cable that goes through it, and then it drives like this 90-degree gear system that then runs your actual cable that runs inside your car to your gauges. Very common for those to break. I have confirmed that this one is all connected and it does function, which leads some kind of credibility to that might actually be correct. In addition to that, most of what we'll see on this thing just screams low mileage. So as we go around here, you'll see the exterior, once you get past all the dirt and everything else, is in very, very good condition. There are just a couple of little dents here at the very front of the fender, very, very minor, and those are really the only ones on the car. The front bumper cover here is in very good condition. The paint looks very good. Obviously, it's very dirty. The warping is pretty minimal. You'll usually see it just above the headlights here. I mean, it's starting, but it's not bad whatsoever. Over here on the passenger side, everything looks really, really good. Apparently, there is a ding down here somewhere. They pointed it out to me when I picked it up, but I've not been able to actually find it. The rest of the car here, other than just being extremely dirty, maybe even a little bit of stainless rust forming from the mice and everything else, but very, very straight. Everything is here. Very good condition. None of the vents are broke or anything like that. He did put new tires on it back in around like 2005, which I think is when he got the vehicle back out of storage or something along those lines. I think that's when he was trying to get this on the road and then kind of just lost heart, and it has sat ever since then. We come back here. All of our louvers in great condition. Taillights here, they're not faded out or anything like that. All of the color is in them really nicely. It was last plated in July of 2005, which again is I think when he was trying to get it going and just kind of lost heart. But rear bumper cover here, perfect condition, looks great. All along the driver's side here, everything's really good as well. Got a little bit of scuffing right here on the door, so we'll probably have to regrain some of this stuff, but it looks like most of the issues just kind of happened from it being in storage here. We see the mirror got broke from being in storage. The windshield here as well was cracked. And then on the hood, you can see that they had something sitting on top of it. You got all this dirty area here. And you've got this cleaner, shiny area here. And if we look in there, you can see there's a bunch of scratches where they must have slid something on and off of here. So probably have to regrain the hood, but overall, this thing is going to clean up and look tremendous with very, very little effort. We'll have to just get a windshield and a new mirror, but not major issues there whatsoever. So pretty dang impressive overall. Now, in support of this thing being very low mileage, I do have the window sticker from when this thing was last serviced. I peeled it off here so I could get a better look at it. The writing on there is super faded, but if you hold it at just the right light, you can actually make out what it says. Not sure if the camera will be able to pick any of that up or not. But the mileage reads 5,832 miles, and that was on February 6th of 1997. So that fits with everything I know about the car, the story that the owner gave me, and everything else. I do believe that is correct. I do believe this is a very low mileage car. Looks like he only put about 1,300 miles on it. And then by the time he was able to actually get it back out of storage again around that 2005 period, just wasn't able to get it going, had too many issues, and just kind of lost heart in it, and it has sat ever since then. So let's go ahead, pop the door, head inside of this thing, and I'll give you a brief tour of the interior. So over here on the driver's side, once we pop the door here, got a couple of things we'll need to address. We are missing the headliners on both sides. Not quite sure where those have gone. The struts are obviously shot, so I've got the old vice grips here holding the door open. The door seal on this side has seen some better days. That tends to happen. This is the side that gets used the most, but overall the interior here is in pretty good condition for its age. It's all looking like it's holding up pretty well, other than the fact that the mice have definitely made this their playground and their bathroom and everything else. But I mean, the car did try to fight back. It looks like it managed to get one of them. He's looking a little worse for wear there. Looking a little dehydrated. He probably needs a drink or two. If we come here, you can see the odometer reading the 7,229 miles. And if we look at the pedal pads down there, I mean, they look brand new. There is zero wear on the pads at all. That's usually a good indicator of mileage because those things will get worn considerably. The clutch pad has fallen off, but I did take a peek at that thing. It looks brand new. There's just zero wear on that anywhere. The seats are in really good condition. Now you will see that they do have this spidering in them. That is not really an indicator of high mileage necessarily. And because of the way that I imagine this car was driven, where it would be taken out like once or twice, maybe 3 times a year, and then it would sit the rest of the time, this kind of wear pattern definitely fits with that kind of behavior. But overall, pretty clean in here. Still has the DMC branded tape deck in there, which is pretty sweet. I'll have to find us some cassettes to rock for that as well, but we'll dive into the interior a little bit later. I really don't want to spend much time in here until I get this stuff cleaned out. So Let's go ahead and make our way to the engine bay. So back here at the rear of the car, we've got our engine. Everything looks pretty good under here as well. All of our stickers are in really good condition. Still got the cover box, our air filter box is on here as well. Everything looks to be exactly where it should be. Now, it is quite dirty, but a lot of it looks like it's just dust and oxidation from sitting as long as it did. If you come over here and look at the head and stuff, you don't see a ton of road grime. You don't see anything like where you have coolant leaks and it leaves that white residue behind. You don't see like big gobs of RTV sticking out of things and stuff like that. I mean, it looks fairly low mileage. This is not what you'd expect if this thing had 107,000 miles or this thing rolled over or something. It is definitely just jiving with being a low mileage engine that was taking out periodically and just not very consistently. But with DeLoreans, you always got to be careful. There's so much stuff to check on these things when you pick them up. One of them being the Valley of Death. And that was something I was very conscious of. And I went and looked at this vehicle. I brought a borescope with me. I actually stuck it down in there and got some great views of the Valley of Death from both the front and the back. And it is in very good condition underneath there. There is a bit of debris. It looks like some walnuts, some stuff like that, that some rodents and other stuff have gotten in there. But it's very minimal. You can see almost all of the big center oil passage that runs through there. You can see most of the ribs of the aluminum that come up. None of it looks like it's been oxidizing. None of it looks like it's had moisture trapped in there that's just been sitting in there eating away at that aluminum. So I think this engine here is going to be nice and good for us. Now, I did check that it actually does rotate a tiny little bit. We put a wrench on the alternator bolt, and we're able to actually kind of turn the engine back and forth about an eighth of a turn. We didn't want to go too far, so I'll pull the plugs out, oil the top end and everything else. But let's go ahead and just start confirming some other things here. I didn't pull the air box off, so I have no idea what the condition is of our mechanical fuel injection. So let's go ahead and see if our little valve and everything else actually operates or not. Okay, I've got the air box out of the way here, and in typical Michigan car fashion, every single one of the bolts busted off in the process. So I'll have to fight with getting those extracted at a later point in time, but for right now, the big question is the plunger here frozen up? So let's go ahead and see. Oh no, she moves nice and freely, nice and easy. Now there's a little bit of dirt and debris on there. I'll probably try to get the vacuum in there and clean up on that a little bit, but that's a good sign. That means I can spray some fuel down this guy here, and we can just get it to run that way just to see if this thing will actually bark off and idle, even if we have issues with our distribution unit here. And it doesn't tell us if the plunger is actually locked up inside here, just kind of stuck, but very good sign so far. Next up here, I'm going to see if I can try to come around and maybe get some of these spark plugs out of here, check on those a little bit, see what kind we've got in here as well, see if they're originals or if they've been swapped out. And after that, we'll move forward and check out the old fuel system and get into that fuel tank, which I suspect will be pretty dang nasty. Alright, I've got our very first spark plug pulled out here. It is an AC R42 LTS. That is not going to be an original. Looking at the plug here overall, a little bit dirty, quite a bit of carbon on there, but not too terribly bad overall. So I'll probably go ahead and clean up on these. We'll reuse these just to see if we can get it to actually fire up and idle for us. But I will be going through and oiling down each of the cylinders as I pull out the plugs here, just to make sure that everything is lubed up before I start cranking away on this thing, and making sure that this engine spins over nice and freely. So I'm just going to keep making my way around here. If I run into anything of interest, I'll let you know. So I have all the spark plugs removed. I've gone ahead and oiled down the top of each cylinder, just letting those kind of soak in here. But can't remember who it was that came up with this idea or where I saw this first, but these old drum brake hardware pliers, absolutely the best tool in the world for getting out the spark plug boots, especially on this driver's side. They did not leave you any room over there, and these little guys here work tremendous for that. So now that I've got everything soaking here, just going to let that sit and stew for maybe about 15 minutes or so, hit it once again, and then I'm going to go ahead and try to spin the engine over just by hand off of probably the alternator bolt again, see if I can get it to spin that way, just do 1 or 2 complete revolutions. Then I'll top everything off again, and then after that we'll see if we can get it to spin over on its own using the starter. Okay, so I've got you positioned directly underneath the crank pulley here, and there's a heat shield here right in front of the thing, and then you got the muffler here as well, so it's almost impossible to get anything in there and on that thing to be able to turn it directly. My hope is that I can do it from the side here off of the alternator. It's got a bolt on the front there of the alternator pulley, and I've got a wrench on there, so see if we can get it to move a little bit from there. It's like I can see the crank turn a little bit, but fortunately the belt's just kind of skipping here and not actually turning the engine. And it's not looking promising so far. I thought I was able to see this move about a good 1/8 of an inch or so when I went and looked at the car, but at the moment she's not moving much at all. Yeah, it's just kind of slipping on there. Dang it. Well, I might have to go back to the drawing board on this one. I mean, she started to move a little bit. Ouch. Yeah, so she moves just a tiny little bit, but can't quite get enough angle here off this alternator, and it's just kind of skipping past, so don't know if that's going to work out the best. I might have to just go straight to trying to get the starter to work, so let's go ahead and put a battery in this thing and see what happens. Okay, so I need to get to the battery compartment, which is behind the passenger seat here, and tried to pull the seat forward just by the slider. It's kind of stuck. I really don't want to sit in this thing and just try to shimmy it forward, but maybe we'll get enough room by just flipping her forward here like this. It's still kind of tight back here, even so. So if we take a look at what we're working with back here, try not to get mouse virus. You can see there's our battery box, and I gotta try to get that guy out of here. It does look like it was probably replaced sometime around that 2005 period, more than likely. Looks like they've got a cutoff switch in here as well. So let's see if we can get that old one out of here and get a new one in there, and we'll go from there. So I was able to get the seat to slide forward, got the new battery installed. As you can hear, we've now made it angry at us. Did put my battery cover back in here just temporarily, just so I don't lose it. Gonna set that back down there. Put our seat back, and as you can see, we've now got power. We've got some lights coming on the door here. So all right, let's go ahead and move over to the driver's side. Now, for those of you curious, this is the battery that I took out of the car here. The date on this thing is from 2004, which does fit with when he was trying to get this car up and going again. It looks like he put the new tires on there, new battery in it, put the plates on there and stuff like that, but couldn't get the shifting issues figured out, and then just kind of gave up on it. All right, so I moved inside the vehicle here, and I did have to come through and vacuum some of this thing out. I mean, it is just disgusting in here. Now, this will be getting a serious deep clean and detail, probably by our boy Uncle G-Body. But in the meantime, just had to do a quick vacuum because it was just way too gross to even sit in here. Unfortunately, though, for you 5-0 fans, he did have to be evicted. He was a bit behind on his rent, and didn't look like he was going to be making his next payment, so he got the boot. All right, let's go see what kind of electrical systems we got going here. We know the buzzer works. That thing was screaming at me. There it is again. All right, key forward. We've got our sweet door jar light over there with the gull wing style. That is awesome. Looks like our volts jumped up to about 10. That's a little concerning. Oh, over here, radio lit up. We've got a clock going on that guy. See if she works. Okay, we got some static. The antenna doesn't sound healthy. But she's not tuning. Push to seek. Yeah, so the tuner doesn't seem to be working. Doesn't look like there's any programmed stations, so looks like we'll have to do a little bit of work on this thing before we can start jamming the Back to Future soundtrack. Down here I was noticing this design is a little silly. they've got like this trim all the way up into the buttons. It's kind of like blocking some of the display here. I'm not sure if that's just how it was or what the deal is there. Definitely don't want to turn on the fan, end up with mouse poo in my face, so we'll avoid that for now. Other than that, looks like our hazards are working. I can see them blinking outside. I believe this is our headlight switch. That there should give us lights in here, which the dash light definitely did come on. It's pretty dim. Don't know if there's a way to adjust that. I don't know what this guy here is. It just kind of spins and spins and spins. It's like a fidget spinner. But I believe you hit this twice, and we've got headlights outside the car now. And once more turns it back off. So pretty cool setup there. But the big question is, will the engine actually turn over? So let's go see what happens. Unfortunately, that sound you heard was not the sound of the engine turning over. Instead, it was the sound of the starter down here just kind of freewheeling. The issue is the solenoid is not pulling back and actually engaging the starting gear into the flywheel. So we can try beating on it. We could even try to pull it out of there, clean it up, maybe put it back in and see if it'll finally turn over. But by that point in time, we might as well just put in an aftermarket upgrade for this. It's a very common upgrade to take a starter from a 1989 Eagle Premier and drop it in here. It's got more torque, it's lighter, it's smaller, just works out better overall. But unfortunately, nobody near me has one, which means I'll have to order it through Rock Auto, which, as you know, takes a little bit of time to get here. But I do believe that would be a better choice than trying to put this old crusty one back in here instead. But it's quite a bit of work, it looks like, to get this out here. Let me take you underneath and I'll show you what you got to do to get a starter out of this thing. So here you can see what we're working with this starter. There is just very little room here. You got the oil filter immediately behind it. It is kind of just jammed in here right above the K-member. Very hard to get access to anything. So I really do not want to have to do this multiple times. I might try beating on it a little bit, see if I can get that stupid thing to come free. But if that doesn't work, we might just go ahead and call it here on trying to get this to run this week. We'll get a new starter on hand. We'll get a couple of other new parts and stuff like that as well. And then we'll try to pick this up next week once the new parts come in. But we can always move forward, start going through the fuel system and stuff like that for now as well. But while I'm underneath here, let me go ahead and just kind of show you the rust situation on the car as well. So it's very common for these rear subframes here to rust out. And now this is a Michigan car, so there is some rust underneath here, but it is not bad whatsoever. Let me get my light free here. Alright, so there's definitely some rust that's starting to form here on the tow hooks. If we look at the very bottom plate here that goes across the K-member, you can see that there's a lot of flaking. It is starting to get some rust in that very, very bottom plate. And that's pretty typical of a Michigan car. A lot of that epoxy is flaking off of there, but it's not bad at all. It's just all contained right to this bottom plate. It has not made its way actually up into the K-member anywhere. So if we move over here towards the pockets where the control arm attaches, it is very good over here as well. So the entire box here and going up is in perfect condition. There's no real rust, there's nothing. The epoxy's not even flaking off, anything like that once you start moving up. It's just all here on this flat plate. It looks like somebody maybe tried to jack the car up using this thin metal piece right here and bent it ever so slightly, and that kind of cracked some of the epoxy. And that's why it's starting to flake off real bad, but it's in really good condition overall. It's nice and solid. It is starting to get some of that dark red rust in there, so I will go through, wire wheel all this off, treat all of that, and then end up just kind of covering and repainting over all of this. But extremely solid condition on the frame overall. That's pretty much the case throughout the entire car, so that's what makes me believe this is a very low mileage car. Stuff around here in Michigan would not look this good if it was really rolled over and had over 100,000 on this thing. So again, I do believe it is a fairly low mileage car. Here at the front of the vehicle, I've got the hood propped open once again, just using the vice grips. Looks like the weather stripping has come off. You can see all the glue remnants just hanging around where it used to be, but it feels pretty good. It's nice and soft and pliable still. And it's bendy, flexible. Could probably just re-glue this, clean it up on it a little bit, and be good to go. So that's always a good sign there. It does look like somebody has been in here before. There's all these screws just laying around right here of various type, and those come from right here. All the access panels, like they're trying to get into where the slave cylinder is for the clutch. It is empty right now, so there's just no clutch hydraulics whatsoever, but the fuel pump access and for the fuel tank access is going to be over there on that side beneath the spare tire. So while we're in here, let's take a peek behind our little toolbox panel here, and does look like the jack is in there. Looks like there might be a little bit of mouse house, so we'll just close that back up for now. But all right, I'm going to go ahead and get this carpet out of here, maybe vacuum some of this stuff up as well, and we'll see what's underneath all this. I've got the carpet out of the way, came through and hit everything with the vacuum just to clean up on it a little bit underneath here. Looks like somebody may have been trying to get access to the brake master cylinder. The cover was just kind of lying loose for that as well, but it doesn't look like they tried to actually take the access panel out for that guy. It does look like they're in this one here for the clutch master cylinder, and possibly also where the fuel pump is. Looks like there's a screw or two missing there, and it looks like the seal has been broken. So somebody probably had that panel off at least at one point in time. Next up, I'm gonna go ahead and get that spare tire out of here. Start getting those screws out of there for that access panel, and we'll get that out of the way, and we'll start taking a look at what this fuel tank situation looks like. I had to react pretty quickly there. We got some rain out of nowhere, and well, the Chevelle had been spending the last couple of days just sitting outside because we had some nice weather, but as you know, this thing is not waterproof whatsoever. So once the rain started coming down, I had to react quickly and start shuffling the cars around. So we've got the DeLorean turned sideways, shoved all the way at the front of the garage again, pretty much where my Model A usually sits during wintertime. And we've got the Chevelle just barely in here. You can see it is quite tight, but everything does fit. Nothing's actually touching, so that should allow us to continue working here on the DeLorean. Does not look like we'll be able to get this thing fired up this week. We need a starter and a couple of other parts, but that doesn't mean we can't get to work here on this fuel tank and fuel system setup. So I was able to get the access panel removed there. Looks like a fairly stock setup underneath there. It does not look like it has been played around with at all, which with a low mileage car, you'd kind of come to expect that. So we're going to go ahead and get some other light in here, and we'll start disassembling that and see just how bad this fuel tank is. Alright, so I'm kind of tucked into a spot that's maybe about 1 square foot of garage space here, but we're going to see if we can make this work. So as you can see, fairly stock original setup under here is pretty dirty and grimy, but nothing looks like it has been played with. So let's go ahead and just start taking this apart. I'm going to go ahead and get the big old clamp off of here. Might go ahead and snip off those zip ties there just so I can get this first rubber boot out of the way. And then I believe there's another one that sits inside that actually has the carrier on it as well. And we'll see just how bad this thing actually is. Okay, so here's where we're at. As you can see, I've got the original fuel pump pulled out of there. It's really not in bad condition at all. You can see the hangers starting to rust a little bit, starting to get some fuzzies growing there on the return line, but it actually still runs amazingly enough. Not bad at all. Definitely lending some credibility to this thing just being a low mileage car. But I did go ahead and just pull all the stuff out of there. You can see I've got the baffle system pulled out of the tank, all the hoses and stuff like that. And here's what we actually drained out of the tank so far. Very, very stinky varnish. And I've got almost all of it out of there. There's just a fine little film left at the bottom of the tank that my little hand pump here can't get out of there. But I'm going to go through, wipe that thing down with rags, just get that thing spotless. The beauty of these things is that they're plastic tanks, so they don't rust up. So other than just wiping down the inside of it, should be all good to go after that. I will go through and remove what's left of the original style hoses on there and just expose the metal barbs. And my plan is to just switch straight over to the GM style fuel pump and sending unit, kind of the all-in-one units. They'll just drop down in there and get held on by a V-band clamp. So once again, we're just kind of stuck waiting for parts here, but this doesn't look like it is going to be too bad whatsoever. So it's probably going to do it here this week. There's not much more I can do. Just kind of waiting on parts on both ends of the car here, but hopefully once those parts come in, we'll be able to get this thing fired up, get it running off of its own fuel system here. Probably have to flush the coolant and stuff like that. Then we can start shifting focus here and see what it's going to take to get this thing actually back on the road again. So that's going to do it here this week. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.